What black market did kids at your school run? When I was in the 6th grade, a teacher sold candy in between classes at marked up rates. A student decided to undercut her. That put an end to all candy sales. Till the school system hates the free market. Classic example of big business legislating small business out of the market. You could even say it was a textbook example. I would buy 6 packs of soda for $1.79 and refill the 6 sodas for a total of $3. Not labeled for individual sale, come on bro. You gonna report me? FBI, hands in the air now. These little game coupons that our teacher gave out for winning class quiz games. Right when people were starting to get scanners/printers in their own homes, some kid made copies of his coupons and sold or traded them to other students. And that's how you first learned about inflation. The only guy in the school whose family had proper TV channels used to tape wrestling events and rent them out. I went to a private high school with a strict dress code, ties, belt, etc. So I bought a bunch of ties and belts from a thrift store and ran a lucrative rental business out of my locker. Rent a swag. In high school, this guy sold socks in the hallways. I'd ask why there was a market, but I'm not sure I want to hear the answer. I went to school with a lot of emo kids and apparently, socks ruined the look of Converse and Vans. The gym teachers hated it, so if you weren't wearing socks, you couldn't participate and you got an F for the day. What if you wore ankle socks? Just had to prove you were wearing them. I had the principal's secretary's handwriting down and used to sell hall passes for $1 each. Made a killing. I never grasped the concept of hall passes. Do you have hall wardens which detain you if caught without a pass? Freeze criminal scrum and show me your hall pass. They shoot on sight. Locker accessories such as carpets and magnets. Carpets, how big were your lockers? Only a few hundred square feet. The fireplace was really disappointing because it was only gas. I used to bang my head on the chandelier till I bought out my friend's locker above and built an extension. Used to crush up warheads and mix them with sugar. Sold them by the straw with the ends melted. 0.50 a piece. Hey kid, want some death sticks? You don't want to sell me a death stick. You want to go home and rethink your life. A kid in my school used to sell stupid amounts of porn tapes for $10. We found out later that his dad had paid for some porn channels and I guess he never noticed his son had them open in his room. He would buy empty tapes and just hit record until the tapes were full. I know I bought at least 10 of them. This was in the 90s. That guy was making a shit ton of money. He would bring a backpack full of tapes almost every day and leave school with it empty. Easily he was making $200 a day when he emptied his bag. Man, it's hard to go back to minimum wage after that type of income. His family was loaded to begin with. I honestly think he just did it because he was very popular in school among every group and clique. The only thing more useful than money is influence, that's what he was buying. Cuban sandwiches straight out a duffel bag before school. They were bomb. Cheap and way better than the lunch in the cafeteria. I used to sell Coke, the drink, because they didn't allow fizzy drinks to be brought in. Pablo Frescobar. This girl Danielle convinced my best friend and I, along with some other people, that she could forever change the taste of saliva in our mouth. So that our saliva would taste like watermelon, cotton candy, bubble gum, etc. forever. She made us wait a couple days, so we could really think about what flavor we wanted in our mouth forever. For example, she would tell us, are you sure you always want everything you eat to have a hint of watermelon? Anyways, after a couple days and we picked a flavor, she charged us money. I can't remember how much, but it was probably $0.50 or something. She made us chew on all this crazy stuff like paper clips, erasers, and other things. Obviously our saliva never changed flavor and she stopped this. But I worked at Starbucks a couple years ago in my hometown and she came in and didn't even recognize me, and all I could think about was how that girl had me chewing on paper clips. Was she head of her own religion by then? Maybe a bunker full of mole men. Day alive, damn it. Silly bands. I remember a kid made like $50 one day. MP3s and CDRs were just becoming available. A guy I knew made a killing on mixed CDs. Every week he circulated forms to fill out, where you selected the songs you wanted on the CD. The newest hits were on the top, and changed weekly. The rest of his library filled the rest of the form, and there was a space for requests. He'd deliver your disc the following week. He seriously made bank for a couple years until everybody started getting their own songs from LimeWire, or whatever. I don't know what he's doing now, 20 years later, but I don't doubt he's successful. I had 2 brothers in my school, who did this in 7th and 8th grade. They were the only ones with a CD burner and they crushed it. $5 a pop. And a lot of times they'd just burn whatever rap was popular or shit they both liked. But at the time, I especially had no other access to that shit as we didn't have cable TV or high-speed internet. So it was a hot commodity. Banana chips were 25 cents in the vending machine in middle school. I always went to school early, so I always ended up buying all of them and selling them for 50 cents a bag. This is one of my favorites out of this whole thread. Simple and effective. Apple laptops in middle school. Some had iTunes. Some didn't. And the kids wanted it, so I apparently was the only one who knew how to transfer the installer with my USB. I put it on everyone's laptop for gifts, favors, etc. In return, got caught by the sub that day. I told her it was my flash drive, I could do what I wanted with it, and that's how I got my second detention of my life. How did you get the first? Gang violence. You don't wanna mess with the middle school mafia, bro. The location of forest porn. A buddy of mine found his mom's dildo when we were 11 years old, and he charged people to come and see it. Made a small fortune during that week it lasted. Did his mom ever find out? You know, the other moms and dads got to hear about it too. 2 years ago I was a sophomore in high school, and freshmen weren't allowed to go off campus but everyone else was. So I'd take orders, go to the local fast food shops, and get the goods. I'd up the price by about $2 and ended up making about $200 a month. But what about gas money? The stores were across the street, big city / downtown high school. Nintendo games. Some kid sold them off for like 10 or 15 bucks a pop. I don't know where he got them from, but he said he just told his dad what he wanted, and his dad would get it for him. He'd ask for the same ones over and over, and it didn't matter. He'd end up with 5 copies and he'd just sell 4 of them. Either the kid was the most spoiled brat in history, or his dad was straight up stealing them anyhow. Anyways, I could never get any. I had a Sega, but I remember that kid making a killing in grade 3. Updates and answers. It was Northeast's. Yes. Please tell me how to download a car. It's not anything bad, but we had a black market for food and another for birth control pills. Hey, Martha, didn't see you last week. You want your usual order of birth control pills? Nope, just the food, please. Do you need double the usual amount? Apart from the 20 minutes before the morning bell rang where everyone crowded around the front of the school being an open-air drug market, there were always dice tournaments. The rules were 2 people put down X amount of money on a game. Then both people rolled 2 dice at the same time. Whoever got 7 or 11 first won the money. The winners of the first rounds would play each other for the amount of money they won in previous games. This went on until the bell rang, or it was broken up by teachers / school administrators. Things often continued in the afternoon after school let out. So many people got detention and suspended for repeat gambling. Looking back, it was hilariously stupid how much money was won and lost on a game of pure luck, and the sheer number of people who got in trouble for it. Yes, I was one of them. You guys were legit playing street craps in school, mayo. 7 or 11. Snake eyes watching you. At my school they took all sweets out of the vending machines and replaced them with healthy snacks. In the local town there was a sweet shop where you could buy a kilo of mixed sweets for £5. So every week I would go there and buy 1 pound of small paper bags and spend the Sunday night before school repackaging them all ready for the week ahead. Come Monday I would go into school and load my bag up every day selling the bags for 50p. G-rated version of repacking and selling drugs. I lived in an area with a lot of retiree age people, a lot of which ended up raising their grandchildren. It really isn't a good area. Being older and from a rural area they still don't trust online sites like eBay or Amazon. So I started ordering people things from those sites for actual money and added a charge for me to be making money off of it. It eventually got shut down because I got someone a USB in the shape of a pistol. It was the size of a USB and clearly a USB, but it didn't matter The principal actually got the police involved to try to get me in real trouble. During a drug search at my school, a guy got in trouble simply for having a shirt in his truck with Sex Pistols on it. Zero tolerance is a freaking mess. Imagine getting in trouble for having a banned tea in your car. Cinnamon toothpicks were all the rage in grammar school. Same at mine. We had a guy who was selling them for 25 cents a pop until the teachers finally shut down his business. I was in elementary school when pogs were big. Everyone had cool slammers and stuff, but I didn't have money for good ones. My dad made one out of 1/2 mild steel for me and used an engraving pen to make a simple pattern. Everyone was asking me where I got them from. I didn't want to lose my unfair edge, but I also knew I could make money. My dad had a big sheet of this 1/2 steel. I told them I was the only one who could get them. I sold them for $15 a pop. My dad kept 10, I got 5. And that's when I learned what overhead was. Your family life sounds fun. I have family in New York, and would go visit a couple times a year back in high school. Every once in a while we'd visit Chinatown in New York City, and I'd end up buying $100s worth of fake watches, Rolex, Tag, Guxy, etc., return to school, and sell them for double than what I paid for them. A lot of people still do this. They fly off to China, buy cheap knockoffs and sell them for a huge markup wherever they're from. It's big business here in the Philippines. My school used the metallic ends of pencils as a currency. Bronze was rarest, so it was the most expensive. Green was most common, so it was the least. We traded for erasers or pencil cases or a spot up in the Foursquare line. Eventually got banned, but we still operated with people acting as banks, to keep the currency hidden, and to keep transactions hidden. It's actually pretty impressive to trade and maintain value of a fiat currency like that. Yeah, and the emergence of banks is super impressive. I wonder where the bank managers are these days. I don't know if this counts, but me and my brother would take money to beat all the challenges in Golden E007 for N64. So people got all the cheats. The invincibility challenge was the toughest. My friend did it with a Game Shark. Slap bracelets. Small southern town with just a Walmart and 1 or 2 small clothing stores that carried them. Anyone who went out of town to do clothes shopping, or because their parents worked there, would come back with bracelets we couldn't get here. So a little black market popped up.